terms of musical mentor, number one is my guru, Pandit Sharda Sahai of the Banaras Gharana of Tabla. Really, I owe everything to him. I wouldn't be able to play anything. I wouldn't be able to teach. Whatever I'm doing now is really due to his generosity and what he shared with me. I met my guru through Bob Becker. So first I was studying with Bob Becker for a number of years. I just didn't have the means to be traveling internationally at the time. But from the first lesson, Bob always said, as soon as you can see Guruji, go and do study with him. So as soon as I was able to, I did. And immediately it was this, we hit it off immediately. It was, he could see I was already playing tabla. I suppose he saw that I was serious about it. I had seen another friend of mine, Peyton McDonald, become a disciple at that first meeting, that first workshop. And so I asked him afterwards, do you think one day that I could become a disciple too? And he said, sure, like no hesitation right away. So I mean, he always really made me feel very welcome, and he was always very generous with me. Tabla was always one percussion instrument amongst many. I was practicing snare drum and marimba and timpani and all that stuff, and congas and tabla. But then the more I learned, the more tabla took over gradually. I didn't know that that was going to be my path. I didn't ever imagine that it could be possible that tabla would be my main instrument. It was always my favorite percussion instrument from when I started playing it, but it was, logically one of many. And just as time progressed, it just took over more and more. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn more. And I'm very lucky with what Guruji taught me and just life's paths that I'm able to do this. What I enjoy in percussion, I enjoy timbre, color, always searching for that perfect sound, or there is no perfect sound, but that special sound, the timbre of the drums, the timbre of cymbals, searching through stacks of cymbals to find the one with just those special overtones, or especially resonant metals and tabla and instruments like that. I'm really fascinated by that kind of search for color. Yeah. In university, my percussion professor, Pierre Belluz, very important percussionist on the Quebec and Canadian scene, so many percussionists having studied with Pierre. And I think that's where I get this idea of the search for timbre, the search for color, really comes a lot from Pierre. For me, doing this new music or contemporary music for tabla, it's a way for me to combine, let's say, my two sides. My two musical upbringings, right? So I have this Western classical percussionist background, and I have this Indian classical tabla player background. And so at some point, these two were making me feel like I'm two separate musicians, the Western musician and the Indian musician. And with this new music for tabla, it's a way to really combine both. So there's the notation, there's the aesthetic of the contemporary music, but then there's always the tabla and its sonorities and its traditions, which are always present to varying degrees, depending on the approaches of the composers. So for me, it's really a way to combine both aspects of my musical background, so that I don't have to split myself into, so that I can just be me. Yeah. Gharana, it's like a musical family, a lineage. So when I became a disciple of my guru, it's like I joined his family. And so with that comes, in a way, great responsibility that every time I play, I have to really try my best. Lots of practicing, lots of preparation to represent the Gharana well. Because when I go out there and I say I'm a tabla player in the Banaras Gharana, then people we'll use that as an example, which I don't know about, but it's a kind of a daunting thing. But so there's that sense of responsibility to represent my guru as best as I can. It's always fun going to India and playing. When I first meet someone and they say, "Hi, who are you?" and "Oh, I play tabla." "Oh, really?" So the first reaction is surprise. But then after hearing a performance, usually the comments are positive. So I've had different kinds of comments, different kinds of feedback, but for the most part, people say, "Well, our own children are not interested in learning the traditional culture anymore. It's amazing that you've come from so far away to do this, and that you're really serious about it, and that you've devoted your life to it." So there is this appreciation, which I'm very thankful for. Some people, they talk about teaching and performance like they're separate things. Like if all went well, I would only perform and not teach. Some people talk like that. But for me, and this is really, I think, coming from the Indian tradition, teaching is part of the tradition. It's equally important to performing. It's part of passing on the tradition. So my guru passed on knowledge to me, and it's my responsibility to pass that on as well to my students. It's the idea of continuation of tradition. So you can't separate performance and teaching. Yes, we can say it's a universal language. You can listen to any music. I say sometimes you can close your eyes and listen to it and appreciate it and enjoy it. But different music has different language to it, different musical language specific to that, right? A different grammar. And so the more you know about that music, the more you're going to appreciate. It's like if I tell you a joke, but you don't know the context, you weren't there at that moment, it's like an inside joke. You're not in on the joke. It's not funny. Everyone else is laughing, but you don't know why they're laughing. Right? When you understand the language, you can be in on the joke and what happens. So, and that's especially the case with classical music, but it's the case with every music. So I think all music you can listen on the surface, but then the more you know, the deeper you can go with it. It's funny. I guess I play a lot of music that's improvised. I really enjoy improvising, but I suppose in life I don't like improvising too much. I'm quite organized with my schedule and knowing where I'm going next, and what time and being on time and that kind of thing. So it's funny sometimes how the artistic personality and the day-to-day personality can be two different things. So I suppose there's that.